Today's story about crazy one who married a crazy one. What happened to them? How did the marriage end up? Did it last? Did it not last? Shall we hear the story? Let's go. So the story happened in the 80s, early 80s. There was a boy and a girl. They are cousins. And as I told you, in this culture, the Middle Eastern culture, Arabs or Northern Africa, a cousin is allowed to marry his cousin. So families live in big families together. They never leave the house. They live in the same town. And the brother and his brother were living in the same house with the grandpa and the grandma, and they had kids, and their kids grew up, but each one of them had a crazy kid. Not a crazy in where they like lost their minds. Crazy in a term like they are hyperactive. Back in the days, they didn't know what is ADD and what is autism. So probably both of them, it's genetic. So both of them had the same personality. Now in the days, we call them a pranksters. And if you are a prankster, like you could kill yourself. You could do crazy stuff. And we have seen Jackass team, one of them lost his life, and they keep hurting themselves, and eventually they tried to make money out of their crazy stunts and pranks. These two kids were like that, but they were inseparable, one boy and one girl. So they play with each other on the streets, and they grew up with each other. They had the same personality. They had the same craziness of a crazy level of craziness, and really hyperactive. They would fight with each other all the time. The parents' job is just to separate them. They kept beating them, they kept separating them, and nothing worked. But they are inseparable. They love each other, and they always play with each other. Like they have other cousins, but they would only play with each other. Years passed, and now they became teenagers. The boy is like 16 and the girl is 15. And it's awkward. Like in that conservative culture, the boys are separated from girls, but these two, they couldn't separate them. They would lock the doors. The girl would jump over the fence, and the boy would escape the school. And of course, with that level of craziness, they couldn't finish school. Impossible. So eventually, the brothers, like the parents, they gathered and they said, "What are we gonna do? I guess we have to get them married to each other." And still until today, like teenagers and young kids, they still can get married between 15 and 19, let alone back in the days. So probably they were 16, 17 years old, and they got them married. And it's kind of funny story. I'm giving you a break from the murder stories. So and the parents were concerned, like what's going to happen. They said, well, there is no other solution. The community started to talk about them, and they are going to bring us bad reputation, so they have to get married. And we will take care of them. Like, hey, what the hell? Like, if anything bad happens, it's between the family. We can get them divorced, but we have to solve this the right way, and they have to get married. And so they prepared them both to get married, and the wedding day, believe it or not, one of them played a prank on the other one. So the girl, she used to do that with her brothers and sisters. You know, one of these moves when one hit the other one and then escape and run away quickly, and they keep chasing each other. Or when they trip each other, like suddenly the girl would straighten out her legs, and her sister would trip on her legs when she was sitting. Like the crazy one would be sitting and the other one is walking, and she would straighten out her legs, stretch them out, and her sister would trip on them. She did the exact same thing with the groom. He was on the stage on the wedding day. Of course, the wedding wasn't big. They made it in between the family just because they knew what's going to happen, and they actually couldn't predict what could happen, and they were right about their plan, because listen to what she did and how it ended. So the groom was going on the stage, and he wanted to sit on his chair, and she was sitting, and while he was crossing the stage, she stretched out her legs, and of course he tripped in front of everybody. Guess what he did? He took the headband. You know, in the Middle East, I don't know if you have ever seen that, they have a traditional outfit where they put a piece of a cloth and they pin it to their head with a crown, like a black crown. You have seen it with Qatar people and Saudis, especially Kuwaitis wear it, but not in Oman, or probably some in Bahrain. So he took that and started lashing her with it in front of everybody. And she started punching him, and he started pulling her hair, and it was crazy. The whole family jumped in to break them away from each other. And eventually that night passed, and the wedding was done, and all that drama became memories. And guess how they lived? They lived like that the rest of their lives, like the whole marriage duration. They would fight all the time, and the parents were in trouble. They kept breaking them away all the time and solving this drama, and they kept just fighting, physically. She would hit him, he would hit her. She would punch him, he would punch her all the time. He would pull her hair, she would pull his hair, and it was nuts. Anyway, years passed and days passed, and eventually they had kids, and they grow old together. They had 6 kids. 6 kids. It's crazy. And none of them finished his education, of course. The boy couldn't finish his school, so his dad just eventually got him out of his school because he kept spending 3-4 years in each class, unable to pass it, because he doesn't have the mental ability or the focus to even pass one class, one grade. So the dad said to the school, I'm just going to get him out, and he grew up a little bit, and I'll get him in the army. And that's what happened. So, and that was his source of income. He was in the army, but of course he got expelled, and they became the parents' responsibility. And they lived among the family, and even the kids, they get raised by the whole tribe, because they live in a big family household, so everybody raised everybody. Anyway, long story short, these crazy couples stayed together for the rest of their lives. Their kids grew up, they grew older. Believe it or not, 2 uneducated parents had 5 PhD holders and doctors. Each one of their kids specialized in a different domain in the medicine field, in the medical field. One became a heart doctor, one became an eye doctor, one actually became a professor in a school. They are all held really high positions in their jobs and were very successful, ironically. And I know some people who the dad is a PhD holder, and then the mom is a teacher, and the kid is just dumb like a log. They bring him private tutors, and he's just a dumb kid. So yeah, it was really a weird story, and actually everybody is still alive until today. We know them. We know the family, we know the couples. They're almost in their 70s or 80s. The kids are really have really high positions in their jobs and really successful, and it's really a funny story. And until today, the kids got used to it. The parents are still fighting physically, and the kids know that they have probably low IQ or something wrong with them. But they were nice people, really kind. They don't hurt anybody. It's just the fighting part between each other was the weird and awkward thing in their lives, which made them really unique couples. But they are so in love. They have never been away one day in their lives away from each other. That's a very cute and beautiful part of this story. So this is a quick, short, cool story. So you don't say, I always post long, tragic stories. And actually that's gonna take me to the next story. So I don't know if I'm gonna post it with this one, or you want me to post it separate in another one, which has another cultural class for you. It's gonna give you a clear image, or some, probably for you it's a brand new information about a major cultural aspect and from that spot on earth. Until then, please like and subscribe, because it's going to help the channel, and so you become part of the family. And take care.